the LCS. Last game of the day, baby. 100 Thieves taking on CLG. But one team's coming off a victory, one team's coming off a loss. Maybe the opposite of what some people think.
And which team is it coming off a victory?
Right.
I don't know, CLG. And which team is it coming off a loss? 100 Thieves. And how many upsets did we see today? 2 already. How many upsets are we going to see total? 3. That's it. There's no more to talk about.
I appreciate your loyalty. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Okay, but here's the problem, though. As soon as you believe in CLG, that's when they fail you. And when you give up all hope, that's when they win. Were you not listening to Cash yesterday?
I didn't say anything about my beliefs. I just stated the facts of the day. That's it.
You're dooming your team, Bison.
I don't know what y'all talking
You're
about.
cursing them.
Yeah, you're the broken clock. You're not affecting everything. But it's what everyone else thinks. That's what dooms CLG. Everyone has finally given up all hope entirely. That's when they start winning. Now they won. It's all screwed.
That's such a rabbit hole to go in. What kind of mindset to get yourself in.
We're gonna stop here. All right, so draft has begun. Zig's off the table. I think is very smart. I think he's actually one of the strongest picks overall out there. Interesting to see that 100 didn't want it himself, but really is an absolutely strong pick that teams should be fighting over as common as they possibly can. Jungle bans make a whole lot of sense. Gwen is outstanding. Again, she is more of a late game champ. She's good like pre-6 and then troughs until 3 items, then is the strongest top laner. And so 100 Thieves are taking a like, okay, we can get top scuttle, and then we'll see you at 30. Like that's kind of that game plan if it's top lane there for someday.
Consistently seeing the Gwen picked up early, the Viego picked up early, those that are still living out their time here on 11.14, but it's Lee Sin that's getting first locked in for CLG.
Yeah, and I'm actually okay with the Gwen trade because at the end of the day, if Brox is on Lee Sin, that's one of his strongest champs, that's one of the strongest players. Like, we take that trade every day. And then Viego allows you to have flexibility. This is still a champ that you can play in mid or top. You can also put him in the jungle if you like the matchup better. So I think CLG just retaining the flexibility and making sure that your best player is on his best champ is the right move here.
Starting to get those eyes on the bot lane potentially. Also, I mean, I think it's kind of cool seeing picks like Callista coming up a bit more and more. Just a little bit ago, Stixay bringing it out as a strong pick, but now everyone's seeing how well she can do in the current meta.
I mean, Callista's definitely one of the like most sought after bot laners right now. Looking at this patch across as my websites load, it's like so it's like Ziggs, Varus, Velis, Callista are all very, very close in overall presence. Like Ziggs actually has kind of taken the top spot for bot lane, mostly because he's taking so many bans that like because he's flexible, unlike let's say like a Callista, it's like okay, well we're getting a bit of use out of banning it away from the mid lane as well. Graves is hyped to see.
Would you have bet that we would see Graves?
The Outlaw making an appearance.
Good, yeah. Sentinel skin I don't think is in this patch. It's still 11-14, so unlucky can't get the new threads. But I think he's actually another one, by the way, that would be happy to see Graves in lane. From what I've seen of Hyela solo queue, some people will play some mid Graves. I don't know his matchup tables. I don't know when you play him, but he is good.
100 Thieves really seem to think so in this case, bringing him out. And we know that they have been doing a slight experimentation in draft to see what they can bring to the table in these final weeks here. But Rise making his way through all the way.
Wait, so hold on, Freak. Can you explain to me what's the context in which you would want to play Graves? And tell me why this is not just a disrespectful draft by 100 Thieves.
All right, so if you think it's good, right? So keep in mind, right? Remember what we said week 1 of the LCS Summer Split, where we're like, can't believe they're playing Karma. Those idiots. You brought in Abaddon, and they were like, just kidding, Karma's sick. What a great team. So I will always reserve judgment because I haven't seen it.
Okay, I was after losing their first game.
Of course, yes.
Okay,
and Graves may lose.
Okay.
And then it'll like beat Cloud9 tomorrow and be like, of course it's good. So I will reserve judgment, right? Off of, one game, whatever. He is kind of a all-round, like, good damage champion. Like, if your comp is going to be fairly supportive, if you need a mid-game bridge because Graves doesn't really fall off, then he's going to provide damage. If your lanes have CC, so, like, if you're going to get, a gank in bot or a gank in mid, if lanes have CC, that's good there. Again, Graves mid, I think, is a real angle. The flexibility is good. Again, I would have to know his matchups to know which ones you put it into, but, like, it can make that a good draft on 1, 2, 3, because then you're like, oh, we see Rise, that's a matchup we like, and we go. That kind of thing.
Sure.
I mean, even that Karma, they did spend the entire week renovating and reiterating on that draft until they finally made it work in a capacity that really impressed everyone. Who knows? Maybe we'll see the same thing around Graves.
So to that point, if Graves is going jungle, I'm incredibly curious to see what 100 Thieves are going to put in the mid lane because I feel like he is going to need not help necessarily, but some sort of coverage, right? So he can farm safely until he gets to a point where he is comfortable. So right now I'm still kind of thinking that it's going to be Gwen top, obviously the Varus bot, and then Graves jungle, but we shall see. And Ashe, I like the Ashe pick a lot,
All right,
actually.
I will have you know, now that I've been able to peruse the internet, Graves has played almost as many games in lane as in jungle across this patch. Now, this is looking at like European regional league and stuff, right? But like, he's 600 damage per minute and 50% win rate in the mid lane, right? So like, the teams that have tried it have some level of success. It is, a possible option, but of course, we're gonna see in the draft who's on what they're actually doing. Again, you absolutely need CC in your other lanes. Graves provides nothing but just damage.
Yeah.
And a shove, by the way. Like, he's really good at clearing waves. You do put him in mid. So I'm just gonna keep saying it until they finally just lock in LeBlanc, and I'm like, okay, I was wrong. But it's always a possibility, right?
Yeah.
And that's gonna make me happy. Ashe, good for the CC there as well. It's fun to see like champs we don't see a lot of getting drafted right now.
Yeah, I mean, we can already say the bot lane is going to be lit, right?
Yeah.
There's so much engaged from both sides, and also just roam potential from the Rise. It has the ability to just come and gank bot whenever they have a good level 6 setup with the Ashe. So from a CLG perspective, I think when they've looked best, it's when they've had a clear reason to go in, and Ashe provides that. I think the rest of the comp is a little bit execution heavy, and to be honest, I'm not super confident in the ability of who I assume Finn to play Viego. He's had some trouble in lane, but overall, I feel good about the fact that CLG has just a really, really straightforward bot lane win condition.
Yep.
I also think one thing I do want to point out that's kind of like a weird, not underrated, but something that people generally tend to forget about Ashe that I do like from this composition is that, again, like Graves needs to get to a point where he is going to be comfortable, and Ashe provides a lot of vision control if you play her correctly, to the point where, like every single person I know that jungles and pros are just like, what champion do you know I'm playing against? It's always Ashe because she's just so good at tracking. So with this composition, if you do have Broxah in lanes early, which he does, Lee Sin is the champion that allows him to have the strongest communication with his team just because he's so comfortable with it. He visibly has better communication with his lanes whenever he typically plays Lee Sin. And then you have the Ashe for vision coverage. They should be able, theoretically, to track this Graves very easily. That being said, Graves is one of Closer's most played champions historically. This is something he is incredibly comfortable on, and also something he has a very high win rate on.
Yeah. And real quick, I don't think Graves needs to be that sneaky. Like, he's just there to be the follow-up. Like, he's there because he provides a lot of upfront burst damage. Like, lands the shotgun 2 shells, lands the Q, and it's like, oh, we've got a Syndra stun. We've got Varus Leona on the bot side. Like, even if you know he's coming, it's like, okay, do you want to get this entire wave? Because as soon as Syndra stuns you, that's 400 health gone off of the Graves follow-up. So that can look really good. By the way, excited to see Syndra into Rise. We saw the Yasuo into it last game. Syndra and Rise, at least from solo queue data, are the 2 best picks against it. So it's nice to see pro teams. Right? Yeah, we don't see much Yasuo. We don't see a ton of Syndra, but they're both really good champions that are against a current meta mid laner in Rise. So I'm happy to see like Digantos as well as 100 Thieves doing the prep to be like, hey, we got these matchups ready.
I gotta say, I didn't love the Braum pick from CLG. I think when you're playing against 2 immobile carries in Syndra and Varus, and you're also playing an Ashe, it's kill or be killed, right? And I would prefer to see them pick something a little bit more aggressive. I get that Leona wasn't available, and I want to hear your take because it sounds like you disagree. But I get that Leona was not available, but we've even been seeing people counterpick themselves with the Rakan into Leona matchup just to get the ability to engage hard, and I don't think Braum does a good job following up here. So I would have liked to see CLG just commit a little bit harder to, hey, we're just gonna kill your mid and kill your bot over and over.
The thing I was gonna say about the Braum is that it's a pretty safe pick, and also I'm kind of wondering, just given CLG's tendencies, if they're going to be prepping for a level 1. Because again, and that wouldn't be the only reason why they'd pick the Braum, but it would feed into the fact that when we thought about CLG at their best, which in my opinion was at the kind of towards the end of last split, it was when they were doing these really creative and good level 1s. And like I said, this composition, regardless of what you think of it, should do a really good job of tracking the Graves and tracking the enemy jungler. So.
Also, I think Braum has counterpick value. He has counterpick value against Syndra. No matter who she ults, you put up the shield, cool, it's gonna get blocked.
It's like,
cool. It also breaks Varus Q. And we've seen those battles where it's like it's hard to get in and you're not ready to engage. Like, yeah, Nautilus hook gets you in there, but okay, you block a full power Varus Q and you can withstand poke once in a while. So there is some value there. It's a useful lens to think about champ select sometimes. It's one of the fun things about champ select is we take a step back, like you have lane synergy, right? team synergy, what about counter pick value, who's going to get Fry, who's going to outscale? Like there's a bunch of axes to think about picks on. And in the lens of its counter pick, yeah, it's actually good against what Varus is doing. It's good against what Syndra's doing. Are those points going to come up all the time? No, right? Like, so we'll have to see. But if Smoothie's there, he's going to save some lives.
Yeah, and I mean, in that case, having someone like you're saying to offer a bit of that protection with Ashe, some utility on her own back, or not necessarily having the mobility. Kaizen, before we end up throwing into the actual game, does this still make you a CLG believer? Do you believe in this draft?
Look, the faith it's higher order than drafts and picks. It's not about what they pick, okay?
Not about the roster.
I personally,
Not
look,
about what they
I still don't like the draft. If we're picking Brown for level 1, that better be a hell of a level 1 to make up for the fact that
It's not just that. Freak talking
No,
about
he's talking about other things for saving lives, but he needs to be taking lives, not saving lives. Okay?
That's Ash's job. Throw the arrow out.
Yeah.
We're going to be getting into the game. 800 Thieves taking on CLG. Pastry and Kobe, take it away.
Thank you, thank you. It is our final game of the day here, Kobe. 100 Thieves, one of, if not the top dog in the LCS, up against CLG, who are maybe going to make it to playoffs. Things are going to have to break pretty nicely for them in the back end of this, but Demonte said it yesterday. It is possible, Kobe.
I am not buying what you are selling, buddy. You cannot convince me that that is going to happen. But
it could happen.
I'm here for a fun one.
Yep.
Yes, 100 Thieves would like to win this game so that they remain at the top of the standings by virtue of TSM winning earlier in the day. TSM have just tied them, so they're holding onto that tied first place tenuously at the moment. I really wanted to weigh in on that champ select from the analyst test when they were punting around the questions around Graves. When Graves greatly excels, and by the way, you see Graves come back or get benched based on these 2 AD.
Yeah.
They've done it like 4 times. He got, on this patch, 11.4. Guess what? 2 AD back.
Hey!
Woo! Graves is back. So, anyways, the main strengths of Graves are around self-sufficient laners that can set you up, because Graves excels greatly in PvE scenarios where he gets to power clear, but you're doing a lot of counter jungling. He's one of the safest counter jungling champions. So sometimes you'll even see metas where Graves players will take Ignite instead of Flash and play super aggressively into the enemy jungler, because you know you can win every duel. In this case versus Lee Sin, Flash is incredibly important because you're dodging multiple skill shots on the opponent team. They also have an Ashe on the opponent team. An extra Flash goes a very long way, and losing mobility versus this setup would be too detrimental, but those are the cases where you really see Graves excel, when you can bully enemy jungler in those duels. You have these self-sufficient lanes that aren't going to rely on you, and you don't have to cover for, which allows you to mine not only your camps, but you're trying to get your pathing, tracking the enemy jungler, taking theirs. Top lane's so volatile though, Pastry. There's a siren going off. Junglers, get here now.
That's such a nice Q dodge there from Someday, actually, to kind of win the end of that trade. Also, as a reminder, Gwen has Ignite.
Yeah, there's an Ignite on this map, and it is in the top lane, so these volatile lanes are just screaming, yo, jungler interaction. They know that Lee Sin's target's topside, but some days a little bit cautious here. He knows possibilities. If he decided to give up his bottom side camps, Broxa could make his life very painful. And so these are the situations where if you don't get any intel on an enemy jungle position, you have to play more cautiously. That's why we see both of them not overextending now. Good dodge there by Demonte, just off to the side from Scatter of the Week.
Yeah, nice little sidestep there. We'll see a lot of that interaction here between these two as Syndra wants to play up and get Prio in the lane, as Closer has answered the call, Kobe. To the top lane he goes.
The bat signal went up early with that trade down to 100 HP, and here comes Batman.
In the smoke screen, but will dodge the incoming Q.
Big part of it is
just fine. Oh, hello, Broxer in mid lane getting aggressive. Demonte, not enough gas in the tank, but Abadage is forced to flash.
Big part of it is just covering to allow Someday to push this wave in. Yes, if Lee Sin is there, you have a really good scenario. Now Someday getting super aggressive off of seeing the Lee Sin mid. This positioning is all off seeing Lee Sin mid. They can call for the dive. No extra CC here on Gwen though, so they can't actually catch Finn and just zone him from the minion wave.
Other nice thing is that Closer maybe has a camp to take here. Krug's up, I believe. I don't think Broxer made it there yet, but there's also Scott Crab to fall back too as well. So TP going to come back in for Finn. Abadage going to stick around to make sure the minions hit the turret, and TP By Someday in mid lane here, they're going to briefly trade off here as no one wants to miss any minions, basically. That's the story of all these teleports.
Yeah, I was curious, actually, because they did have Abadaga kind of walking back towards mid. Here's the all-in, though.
Bottom side looking good for FBI and Huhi. No surprises there. But pushing was happening here for Wild Toto and Smoothie, but in the 2v2, it's going to be all Leona plus Varus.
Yeah, and it's a standoff because both of them have Cleanse Ignite. So it's about who uses it first. You want to land your stun first for both sides. Either Leona Q and then wait for the Cleanse, Ignite after the Cleanse. If you mess that timing up, you're bad. Same thing for Braum. You want to get your stun off first. Wait on your Ignite. Don't Ignite as soon as you stun them because then they get a 2-for-1. Cleanse removing everything, and yeah, miss out on the extra damage. Feels bad.
Does feel bad. It looks like the swap is going to be a little bit more permanent than we maybe expected, but I don't think it's going to last the whole laning phase. But Abadaga looking pretty comfortable here on the top Syndra. And now looks like the exchange is going to happen once more as Someday is spotted in transition. Abadaga going to hover just to make sure Broxah doesn't go in. And Huhi once again getting aggressive. Slow there onto Wild Toto as FBI is going to try and pepper him with arrows, but Ash firing back there, but still, again, Varus.
They both have arrows, Pastry.
In these
Whoa,
I realized that as I said it.
Arrows flying both ways. Those things are sharp. Turns out the Varus actually gets priority.
The Hail of Blades character, huh?
Yeah,
interesting.
Who would have thought? Lethal Tempo definitely going to give a lot of power later, but Ash actually gets pushed out for once, and this is really big. FBI and Huhi just dominating here on bottom side. With the Braum there, CLG actually getting chunked out super heavily, and it's going to cost Wild Turtle. He pays for that one with minions. It's not just the gold, it's the extra experience here too. Ash greatly benefits from this. You really need your ultimate to have that impact in trying to set this Lee Sin up to have successful plays, because currently it is going to be Graves continuing on his warpath, clearing faster, level 5 now ahead of the Lee Sin, who's fishing around for these plays, trying to punish the flashless Syndra.
Abadaga, though, will be playing with probably the appropriate amount of respect. Wave's pushing in the wrong direction, though.
Don't get prisoned.
Big stack of caster creeps there. And he knows, like, he has to do this. It sucks, but he's going to find Broxah. Nice little roam there, but Smoothie's here as well, so no one's going to commit.
Huge timing, though. The communication is so key. Just highlighting there's no flash Syndra, and they actually go for it.
He finds two. Blind Zenith played that. Unbreakable up there for Smoothie, but 100 Thieves just chasing. Demonte's going to get ulted. See you later. That's going to be a kill for Syndra.
This is not your team,
nope.
buddy. You are on the wrong side of the river. And he gets blown up. That is first blood. Easy cash in for Abadaga. Ultimate goes down on top of it for good measure. That's going to be the crab. 100 Thieves river domination.
Level 6 Graves as well. Oh, goodness. There's a Zenith play, but Total is going to be the target. Smokescreen there, but the cleanse is good. Damage is nice, but not enough to kill Total. Total holding on to the summoners.
Yeah, you can't really get anyone there because if you go for Braum, already gets the jump back. And if you go for the Ash, cleanse is immediate for Turtle.
Revisit here. Actually, Brox is down as well, but he's on the level 5. Still going to try and make it happen. Huhi the target, but he's pretty tanky with a W up.
Don't take that.
And they will not.
Don't take that. Yeah, he's on fire. Yeah, you can get in there. Probably a 1-for-1, but losing jungle presence here so much more detrimental. So good call. Don't take that. Just push the wave in. This lets you get your reset first so you can actually get back to your red side camps. Incredibly important here for Lee Sin to play off this and then go towards the Viego Gwen lane. Remember, you highlighted there is no flash on Gwen. This is Someday taking the Ignite. That is punishable. Lee Sin can get 6 off the red, go up there immediately, and try and make use of it. Here's another look at the possible, play there from Huhi. They walk back forward, so yes, they are in Fog of War this whole time, but Huhi's got the numbers, so he makes an educated guess. There's a lot of people that like to sit in this bush and peek out into the river. Turns out they find someone there, and it actually draws over Demonte to walk right into, which is even more than they bargained for. That's a lot more than they expected. They will take it.
They certainly will, and I will personally applaud the discipline of Closer to not just take that kill and instead give it over to Syndra. That's like one of the easier Graves. I mean, I think
hey, look what happened. He went to the red side. He's going to get level 6 off red. Just turns out everybody else is at this party too.
Uh-oh. Uninvited guest showing up. Closer covering Someday. And I will say, stylistically, even though we're still kind of figuring out the Graves for this game, I like that this allows Closer to just let FBI and Huhi win the 2v2. Because sometimes I feel like they go back to their old ways of trying to camp a bottom lane and get FBI ahead. But you know what? Let them win. Closer can influence the other lanes. They're just fine on their own.
Well, guess what, Pastry? We highlighted the strengths of Graves at the beginning. Boom, on display, 100 Thieves. Yeah, it's definitely helped when you get the first blood walk in from mid laner towards the river. But even ahead of that, power clearing, getting the early PvE advantage, and this translates into setting up on these objectives. Level 7 now advantage for Graves, has the early lethality, probably going for the Eclipse, and gets to hover around on this top side a little bit longer.
CLG's just like, maybe we'll bait him, and Finn's like, hello.
Please take this bait.
Someday is not going to take it. Finn's like, so now they don't know that you're not here, but if they did, I would probably be dead. Does have flash, no ignite for Someday, so Finn actually probably just fine, but definitely looks a little spooky, even though Finn is the one with the sheen.
Yeah.
Someday has not TP'd back to the Slendies yet. It's actually coming up very shortly.
And so these are why I highlight it for the Graves pick. These are my favorite types of jungle matchups where you get to play more chess than you do bongos. You get to decide, higher value on Rift Herald. Pretty much every jungler in the game will take first top Rift Herald in exchange for early Dragon in the current state of the game, unless your comp is literally, stacks for soul immediately, and that's your win condition, because the Rift Herald provides so much tempo for your team, which is earlier momentum for pushing down on these turret plates. You get more gold, you get more health off the towers. That lets you open up the map quicker, so then you can make those transition plays, picking people off as they try and rotate between objectives. And it accelerates your game plan in a way that early dragons just do not.
Right. And I think something you pointed out, it also gives you access to secondary towers, which are also worth more gold, especially if you get the second Rift Herald, as Someday is letting it rip there onto Finn, but Finn's going to ulti out and be okay. But Someday, again, with the Ignite back up, is such a threat. But Damonte making their own Realm Warp in. Gwen, no flash. Finn starting the fight, and Someday is gone. Oh! Very nice from Damonte.
Finn's going to get his heal off. The minions were looking to finish him there, and he gets outplayed.
Gets Gwen passive. Pretty good. Big staying alive there for Finn. As 100 Thieves going to counter push mid here. Like you said, even with that roam, this is big tempo here for 100 Thieves.
Chop him up. Here comes the Astro.
Oh, it hit. But no follow-up. Oh, no, there's Broxah kick, a little awkward, but Damonte still going in. Abadaga low, actually. Broxah going to finish that off. And 100 Thieves now have to turn tail and run. Closes out of there.
Love those Ash arrows because you fire it from base. You also get your mana regen back. Cooldown starts ticking early. And you actually set up a play. Wild Turtle feeling good about himself. Straight down mid lane. Gets rewarded. And CLG back at it again.
FBI, though, going to get knocked around by Braum. Ignited there, but there's the ulti out of Leona. Huhi, with the help of FBI, is going to assassinate Smoothie, and now Huhi's just going to run. He'll be fine.
Leona, it's so tanky, bro. Able to shrug that off after taking down Smoothie. 100 Thieves bring that bottom lane party down real quick. They're like, nice arrow. Now Wild Turtle doesn't have the CC, so they punish Smoothie for it.
Turtle's been around a long time. That is an Ashe classic. The arrow down mid, so Turtle.
Yeah, the real classic is taking teleport and teleporting to it after you fire it, so you arrive there to take it yourself.
All right, well, Duskblade done there for FBI. Shieldbow done for Turtle, as Someday and Finn continue to do battle here in the top side, but Someday with no Ignite after getting himself killed, in a bit of trouble, but here we go.
Woo! Nice aim. They were stacking for him, so it was pretty easy. That's just a percentage play there from Turtle. Broxah, I say it was a nice kick because you kick the Graves through the Syndra, you get your damage, you get your knock-up, and they are able to finish off the mid laner kill on top of it. No flashes blown by 100 Thieves in that exchange, though, so they have them ready for this bottom lane possible play. Everybody roaming down for it.
Oh, here comes Closer. Still has Rift Herald. Someday, though, just every snap. I mean, this matchup has been becoming one of my favorites to watch in top lane, but we'll hold that thought because Rift Herald's dropped here on bottom side. Once again, FBI is looking to collect some extra gold, and the Rift Herald's going to help out.
Able to... No, not stay close enough, so it all goes a decent amount there to Closer. Big cash in for the jungle Graves, baby. And the Eclipse is done, so he's already online. Feels so nice.
I assume there are options for Graves. I feel like the last time we saw Graves, actually a champion that Closer has played quite a bit this year, obviously not so much this split. Shieldburst, I think an option. Gale Pulse we saw a lot of in the early stages, but Eclipse is one of those items that every time I see it, just looks a lot looks better.
Yeah, I like the lethality heavy builds for Graves. When you're in comps like this and you want that burst damage, you've got Syndra, Varus, and Leona always set up for you. So I like big explosions.
Yep.
Plus gives you the extra little bit of shield and mobility there. So definitely worthwhile for Closer. We'll see about this top lane though, because once again that siren's going off. Finn's been chunked out low, and the Ignite is ready for someday.
Oh, this looks like a very unfair 1v2. No ultimates burned by Avadaga or Closer, and Damonte is forced to flash away. At least gives him a thumbs up on the way out, but 100 Thieves starting to exert their will across every part of the rift. Turtle slowed. Zenith Blade not going to connect. It was actually Chain of Corruption coming in for FBI, but he finished off the turret first, and Turtle did have time to flash away.
Yeah, that's a high value push for 100 Thieves. They were going to get that tower no matter what, and Turtle being up there kind of close burns the Ashe Flash. Definitely going to be felt as far as the next Dragon fight. Only 25 seconds away, and guess what? You've already got the resets coming out. Someday's heading back towards top with no teleport, so doesn't look like 100 Thieves is going to put a lot of emphasis on it, though.
100 Thieves, it looks like Syndra will take it back here. Avadaga does have the TP if he needs to rejoin. Dragon up in 8 seconds. That is the thing CLG can lean on right now, but that gold is looking pretty good on the 100 Thieves side as Damonte currently ahead of FBI, but not by much.
Yeah, so they're just committing once again to top side there with the Gwen. Finn also does not have teleport, but he's hovering down. So CLG are going to finish off this Dragon. I'd say 100 Thieves, maybe you fish around for something, but if it doesn't present itself, just take the push on top side for 100 Thieves and be happy with Gwen again shoving into Viego.
Maybe a little bit of push on mid as well is somewhat damaged, but Damonte pretty good at cleaning that one out, especially with his first item done. So CLG actually chasing 100 Thieves up the top river to the Rift Herald. Arrow! Oop! Everyone dodge it! Ah, Closer, come on, you got the message from so far away.
Yeah, everybody saw it. Who he shouts over his shoulder, yo, Avadaga, dodge this. Avadaga walks out of the way. Avadaga say, hey, Closer, this is still coming, bro. Doesn't matter because nobody's going to pick him off, but does mean they're able to finish up, return back to this Rift Herald. And so our earlier logic on Rift Herald #1 over Dragon still continuing for 100 Thieves along with #2, which again, I still support as far as the extra pushing power here, opening up these lanes and trying to get that juicy tower gold for themselves. I would set the premise up that they're definitely going to fight #3, because then you're going to have your rank 2 in all of your ultimates there. You see Syndra already has rank 2 ultimate. FBI will get one really quickly, and those combine for very dangerous burst damage around those small jungle corridors. So if you use a Rift Herald up on top side way ahead of time, I really like this. You can push it in heavily. You'll get an early push there, advantage in setup for Dragon #3, so you can actually get the primary position there, and you don't have to worry too much about CLG approaching Soul as long as you execute in that one fight with your gold lead.
Yep, pace staying nice and high though for 100 Thieves. Love that they're just crashing at top lane and trying to continue to get some gold and open up the map for themselves, as you mentioned. Almost 3,000 gold ahead, not quite there yet, but 100 Thieves are starting to create a pretty sizable gap in gold between these two teams. As Damonte will try and answer here on the bottom side of the map, but Rise takes a little time to kill these towers.
Yeah, at the moment, just going to be chipping away at it. Long rotation over for any 100 Thieves member, though, so he's got plenty of time to work with. And it's just gonna finish it right off. Nobody else can actually get here, so finally answered there. CLG get their first turret pastry time. Big money forward. Tanner time.
All right, he does grab it, but again, it is going to be eyes on that third Dragon here. 2 minutes 40 now until that one is up. And we'll be watching the inventories as well to see what second items are coming out, because everyone's got their first one.
Do you see that caution on display on screen? When you are strong side top, 100 Thieves assumed CLG invaded their red quadrant and set up vision for a possible pick. So very, very cautious retake here for 100 Thieves as you transition back. That's something that goes overlooked because there's no action there, but they seed the bottom tower. They use multiple vision checking tools to make sure they're not walking into any CLG brush camping in preparation of transitioning back over.
Both teams also still with this mid-outer turret up. So going to be a much shorter fight for the mid-wave here, as both ADs are basically parked here in mid lane, trying to get the wave pushing for their team. A little bit of tug-of-war there, as Brox may have found a loop around here, but FBI is going to try and cut that off. At least get a little bit of damage down, but it is CLG currently owning this top side of the map. Someday right now going to have to play under a bit of pressure, as CLG are on the wrong side to set up for this Dragon Vision, but they've still got time to make their way around.
Yeah, they can easily, you know, rotate Devontae over. Ryze has the Realm Warp, so you can make some pretty big objective plays even if you're a little bit lagging in this. I would say, though, a minute and 15 seconds. Get your recalls off now. Get your control wards. As you can see, nobody has them in inventory except for Smoothie, who just went back. And Smoothie down there is the one doing the vision work for CLG. So he gets a little bit of that deep ward here, puts his control ward, sweeps out through the river. And it only is going to be a reward if CLG can defend that vision. Vision put down ahead of time and not defended is just a waste of time. So if 100 Thieves get their full reset off, they come in force, they take advantage of the fact that you're not coordinated in your vision play and just retake and immediately sweep it all out. Your efforts, as admirable as they were for nothing.
Would you look at that?
Oh.
Closing Hui, first to the river, right on time for the Dragon.
Team Vision play, Pastry. Team Vision play.
And their closer just replaces the ward he found with one of his own.
And it turned into a zombie. Betrayed by your own ward.
FBI still shooting Qs over the little ridge.
Oh, the
that is a
pick,
rumble.
though.
One of FBI is who they want to look for. And now Broxy going to dive in. FBI trying to fend for himself. It's closer that's already been left off the rift, as that's a nice little kick flash there. Finn's going to clean up FBI as a result, as Graves. That was quite confusing. And now Finn going to keep diving in. CLG looking for kill number 3. Not going to find it just yet, but they killed the jungler. That's going to be Dragon, CLG.
CLG unleashed, Pastry time. Guess what? No vision, no problem. Realm Warp in, baby. You see a hero, you Realm Warp on his ass. They get everybody in there, right on top of FBI. Even with Flash, Broxa is able to chase him down, gets the kick flash out, and all of a sudden, this preparation, these careful calculations of 100 Thieves saying, ah, yes, big brain play. We're going to get a bunch of money off these top lane plays and these Rift Heralds. Now the Dragon stacking is scary because CLG, they don't hesitate. Ash Arrow into Realm Warp. The coordination here pays off. Broxa kick flash onto the Varus right through the 2 other members and just dominates this team fight. Finn even trying to chase off Abadaga, trades flashes with him, was 1 Q away from finishing off that kill. CLG not sitting around anymore, Pastry time.
Nope. This ain't no Cloud Soul either. This is Ocean Soul, baby. CLG on track for a very quick soul here in this game. And now 100 Thieves must show up to play every single time the Dragon respawns. The gold lead wasn't even that big to begin with. To be honest, 3K up for 100 Thieves was nice, but now that has been crushed down to only 1,000 gold ahead. Ryze is scaling. CLG feeling good. They know exactly how to play the game out from this point.
Yeah, they do. No hesitation. Fire off that arrow. Get in there with the Realm Warp. Really, this is exactly what people want to see. You know, this is a breath of fresh air watching CLG, you know, pull off that play, considering the last kind of month that they have had. So good stuff here. See if they can keep it up, though, because currently just a little bright spot.
Oh, that's funny. I also think that's the second time that particular username
you know, it's funny.
On the broadcast. What?
The reason why he only had 150 channel points to bet on CLG now is because he was previously betting on CLG and lost them all because they lost so many games.
It has layers. I love it. Also, I feel like Realm Warp Arrow is like the 2021 version of the classic TP Arrow, right? To build your own Season 1 Ash.
Yeah, get the team incorporated in it. Love it.
It's true. Quite a bit better than a solo TP mid where you insta-die even though you stunned them for like a year. Demonte is busy catching waves here in the top side. Wits End done for Turtle. CLG, I mean, happy to wait here. Definitely a team that has been quite patient in a lot of their games, for better or worse.
Who? Which one?
CLG.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sure, okay, yeah. They've been overly patient sometimes.
Yeah, yes, I did say for better or worse, Kobe. It has been both.
Yeah, I'm on board. Okay, I'm on board. I'd say there's been a lot of worse for them, but we're focusing on positives this game. Man, that play that they just put off mid lane, what a banger, right?
It was very nice, but is there any more for CLG? Also, these mid-outer turrets have been up for way too long. They need to, like, change the difficulty on the tower defense game, all right?
I like these last 2 consecutive plays CLG have pulled off. When you've got a lull with objectives at the moment, because there's going to be no rushdown on the Baron, and Dragon already taken means there is a trough on this mid-map gravity, basically, that's going to draw anybody out. So you go for these kind of hanging plays. Broxa just waits in the brush by his split pusher. I love these trailing split pusher plays where, whether it's jungler or whether it's the other split pusher with teleport, he hovered behind Damonte, hoping for the 1v1 trail. Maybe you get the pick off, you can punish. If not, you don't actually lose a lot because there's not a big opportunity cost because there are no big other objectives on the map, 400 Thieves to push on, and you're just throwing out these chances. So swing, and they don't get the kill, but they do get the tower on top side. They do get this standing gold that's just on the map waiting for them to pick it back up. And guess what? They've evened it up, and because of the early investment, they have such tremendous priority now over 100 Thieves.
All right, well, a minute until the Dragon is up. It will be the first soul of this game. The first of 4 tries for CLG to get it, but obviously they'd love to get it right now. They are ready to team fight, right? The gold is even. Damonte's pretty big. Total's got his items. It's just about the execution now.
Man, I just noticed too the second item for Doms there for Graves, investing so incredibly heavy into the armor penetration. Starting out with lethality and get the flat penetration, there's not a lot of armor stacking going on. You see all these merc treads going down on the opponent team, but you know, percentage penetration is applied first, and then you get your lethality. So maybe he's just going to go more lethality, get another serrated Dirk in there. That will be actually a pretty quick power spike if they can wait a little bit to get in that for the more burst damage. But you know, a lot of the defense is actually coming from stuff like Braum. It's not coming from armor. It's coming from unbreakable.
Oh, this is what they want to do. All right. Well, I was gonna say Someday completely took over the right side of the map. So CLG cannot go for this. Now they turn for the fight. Arrow hits on Huhi, but he flashes out. And Someday soloing the Dragon. So CLG, I like the attempt, but that's not gonna work out this time.
Yeah, it was a realm warp over to the side, but they're still just kind of sideswiping there instead. They don't have anything to say about this Dragon, so maybe if they're able to capitalize following up more quickly on the arrow and chain stun before who he could flash out, it could have looked different. I still think that Someday could have moved up pretty quickly from Dragon there, so swing and a miss this time for CLG, but hey, as you alluded to earlier, Pastry, you like to see him swinging instead of shitting.
Definitely, as Damonte is just taking over the side lane as well. 290 farm on this rise. Finn, though, potentially at the mercy of the side lane. Gwen, ulti's out, but Someday's going to keep on chasing you. Snip, Ignite is down. Great flash out of Finn there as the last level of the ulti comes out. And who is that? That's Damonte. Hello, Someday. Someday now going to have to get out of this one. Gwen W apparently not up because she would still be alive. And Damonte picks up a very nice kill.
Punished for the all-in CLG. Get right back up, Pastry time, let's go. They got to kill, you got to push hard, get something off of it. Mid lane has a 50% HP. They've got jungle attention in the area. Damonte's actually getting blue first, and he used Realm Warp in addition to his teleport for bottom side play, so doesn't look like they actually get an objective off of this play, and it's just a teleport invested for the kill credit onto Someday. Guess what? Gwen continues scaling. My personal view on the Gwen is that the 2 items are where you have really scaled to effectiveness, so I don't think you have to wait for much more than that. You don't have to get 3 or anything. He's actually got a lot of really nice to haves on top of his core 2 here with the healing cutting and a stopwatch. So possible big plays now available for Someday, even though you're shooting 0-2 on Gwen. What matters are your items here, and he's level 16, ready to roll. Again, this trailing play from CLG. I love these though. Trail behind Damonte, trying to protect the split push. Look for any outstanding members that try and pick a fight. See if you can get that pick off. Don't get anything this time around again, and it actually gives plenty of time for 100 Thieves to establish full vision control over the Baron.
Right, this is maybe one of the issues of leaning so hard to a side lane, is that you basically give up the space between the mid lane and whatever lane they're pushing, because you can't like hang out in the river to shadow them. You actually have to be pretty close in case someone else is coming through. But they are heavily committing to Damonte here. At least he's invested in himself. That's a death cap now finished for this Rise. And whether it's the side lane, the objective, or the enemy champions, Damonte is going to have to navigate very well.
He's going to do work. He is going to do work. Death cap coming in for Damonte is huge. You've got really, really outstanding damage output with this build. With the Seraphs on top of it, he's going to have so many multipliers. You know, level 16 here too. Rise is going to be a big problem for 100 Thieves, so they have to focus their CC here. There's no cleanse on Damonte. He has a stopwatch. That's the only safety you have to worry about. If they could catch him out, that would be huge.
All right, well, Finn trying to run away someday, who is going to permanently sit in the sideline when he knows that the rest of CLG can't come over to this side of the map. Damonte, though, is also permanently fixed in his side lane, so it's kind of a battle between the two strong side laners right now, but a recall here being popped by Q. Here's Damonte is invading for some vision. Closer is going to spot him now. They know the race is there. That is such a good solo flare. Damonte into stasis. Now Brock's going to try and save him, but Damonte's just going to get picked off.
We cursed him. We cursed him! I'm sorry, Damonte! No, he got picked! Here goes another pick, though, followed up with the Varus ultimate. The rest of CLG are able to escape, but you walk into the Dark Forest, pastry time, fog of war, and the sweeper goes off. He reacts so quickly. They tagged with the slow despite the flash from Damonte trying to get out, and guess what? Now your stopwatch is broken on top of it. We've been pretty good with the curses, actually.
Yeah.
2 for 2 as far as the games today.
Got
him.
Yeah, well.
Who's next in the death note? All right, Damonte, it would be terrible if they got picked off. You know, Damonte, that's so big for 100 Thieves. You know, he's the biggest damage output. You know, they only have to watch out for a stopwatch. Well, guess what? He's going in past the control ward pastry, so it is seen by them. Closer helps out Huhi with the sweeper. So this control ward sees him on the entry. Sweeper follows up, allows them to finish it off.
All right.
And yeah, we got to see how much damage. That was within basically half a rotation. As he's getting blown up, he's still almost 1-for-1s with Abadaga, but you burn so much in that invade. Your flash is gone, your stopwatch is broken, and you're crying.
Remember what we said about how CLG are doing such a good job of shadowing this Rise and protecting him? Weird how the one time they don't do that, he gets killed instantly.
Yeah, well, it was also pretty aggressive solo blind.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Through the jungle with no pressure anywhere else, but this is leading up to
All right, here we go.
And it's a soul fight.
You know what? If they get the soul, it's not going to matter. We'll erase it from our memory. As Broxer in the back of the pit, hanging out in the control. Oh, goodness, someday is going to force Broxer out of there.
He can get back in. No, Lee Sin, no problem.
Oh, Arrow actually finds Abadaga. Smoothie actually finds a follow-up as well. And Adamonte going to leap into action, but Huhi trying to zone them out. Finn is doing everything he can to try and kill the Syndra, but it's not enough as Smoothie is going to be forced to flash away. And CLG basically a 3v4 right now.
I love watching the late game Gwen. Someday's going to be able to chop him down. These arrows from FBI are doing so much work. Guess what? Abadaga lives again. He teleports back in after getting chunked down to 100 HP. 100 Thieves protect him well, despite Finn trying to go for that Viego all-in counter there. The attempt at the steal, not going to find it for CLG either, so 100 Thieves can take this one to the bank.
All right, 2 more shots for CLG at the Ocean Salt. As attempt number 2 comes up short, we'll watch this one again.
All right, so again, they're trying to re-punish the Syndra. They know, no flash on Syndra, eyes on Syndra. Can we nail Syndra with anything? Roxa starts up on the Dragon. Yeah, he does get pushed out of the pit, but they're looking for the pick.
Oh, goodness. All right, the classic straight to Baron. Somedays in the back here. Closer going to get zoned out by Smoothie. I think they can finish this off, but what damage can Someday do? They get the Baron, but at what cost? Kobe Someday going golden there, and it's 100 Thieves running them into the ground in the Baron pit. Smoothie trying to do what he can. Sorry, Turtle is firing away in the back of it as Finn actually finds himself a double kill. He does the Varus ulti. He gets the triple kill, but he will fall as a result, and it's a mess. 3 for 3 in the Baron pit.
CLG get the Baron, though. They get to reset. They actually shouldn't give up any towers either. You can have Lee Sin come cover mid as hard as 100 Thieves are trying to push afterwards. This Baron is going to allow easy Baron empowered recalls. here's another look at how it happened. This was when we were talking about, oh yeah, 100 Thieves, they're going straight to the bank with that Dragon Steel. Guess what? The bank is too far away, pastry time. And CLG Realm Warp in. These Rise plays gaining you extra timings on moving towards objectives can be so big. Demonte didn't hesitate. They burn it down. Then they focus burning down this Gwen. And Finn, when you as Viego get to take the soul of Gwen, use the W, then after you get to ultimate, it's so big. Viego getting to kill Gwen, stealing the Gwen soul, gives you hope for the turnaround in the fight. In the end, they get to keep 2 of their Baron buffs, which allows them to re-push.
All right, well, CLG, excuse me, getting themselves back into this game. Red Bull
You
Baron
are
buff.
excused, sir. Don't worry about
Trying
it.
to push some of these lanes. Gold is even, which is not what you want when you have Baron, but hey, CLG have caught themselves back up, and we'll see how much damage they can get done, and if they can prepare perhaps the bottom half of the map and maybe get the inhibitor taken down and have super minions move towards that side of the map. Why, Kobe? That would make taking this Dragon Soul a hell of a lot easier.
I mean, all I really care about is how much damage Close is going to do. I was talking about, oh yeah, he's just going to go more lethality then. Okay, sick. Collector, baby. I would just want to see full burst damage, all guns ablazing. Give Closer some more DPS.
Loading guns into his gun, shooting other guns at people.
Shooting swords out of his guns, you know, he's got all the weapons here. Level 16, he's actually going to get another rank in his ultimate. That ult hits like a entire truck, okay? He's got full lethality with armor penetration, percentage. Oh my God, okay, I just want to see the full combo.
All right, we'll see if we get to see it. Demonte also
Because guess what? If he doesn't, then he just dies. Okay? The drawback is you don't have your Sterix, you don't have any of your pseudo-tanky Grave build, so you get one shot, sir.
Yeah, I've got no stopwatch.
Make it count.
Just the Eclipse Shield. That's all you can hold on to. Eclipse tries to save you. Alrighty, well, this game's dragging on maybe a little longer than people would have expected, but as a result, now that we are here later into this game, we got Someday continuing to scale as the game goes. We've got Rise continuing to scale as the game goes. We've got Finn scaling off the fact that Someday is scaling if they can pick her off. And once again, we'll be back to the Dragon Soul in a minute and 10 seconds. And this time, CLG feeling like they're getting out a little bit early.
Well, I think it is to their advantage to get out here early because they are so heavily rewarded with Braum, with Ashe, you know, having 100 Thieves face check, but they don't keep everybody in the river. So 100 Thieves going to push hard on mid instead. They ignore the setup for Soul. They push on the tower first, and they get rewarded with the objective. Guess what? Reset from CLG. They abandon their position that they just secured on Dragon. And once again, it's a case of vision laid down and left unprotected. So retake from 100 Thieves is allowed. They get right back in there. And they even have topside setup. Does Someday finish off that tower before teleporting in? No, Finn arrives first, so you know they don't also get the tower on top of it, but they did get the clean retake of Vision and River.
Oh, Finty being so early here. CLG trying to make a play right now. Brox actually can hop over as well. Oh my goodness, this could be so sneaky. Realm Warp as well. Everyone's looking for the flank. And now CLG have maybe sprung the trap early, but 100 Thieves cannot expect this. Huhi now the target, but he's very tanky, and the TP does come through for Someday. So now it's a 5v5 for the Soul.
They just used Ash Arrow on that too. Yeah, Leona ultimate's down, so maybe it's an even trade of engagement tools.
All right, well, Brox is trying to find Someday, but he also needs to be there for the Dragon to smite it, so maybe we're just going to flip it right out front.
Oh, baby.
All right, it's
Graves has so much burst damage. Closer can combo so much burst damage with this, but he can also get one shot if he gets stunned.
This is very tense. The Dragon is very important for CLG, and the steal comes through for Closer. Broxter left in the front is going to dash back towards his teammates, and CLG will actually keep all 5 alive, but 100 Thieves are in hot pursuit.
Critical Unbreakable there from Smoothie to try and block the explosion damage from this lethality armor penetration.
Oh, they swap sides.
Graves.
All right, everyone's gonna recall a gentleman's agreement to back away.
We got what we came for, okay? Dragon down. Now everybody's on soul point. Even footing, baby.
Remember when I said that CLG would have 4 shots at the soul? I didn't think we'd actually get there.
We go full distance. We like to give value for our tickets to our CLG shows.
All right, well, let's just on again. I kind of like the little flank here. It's very cute for CLG, but unfortunately, it just doesn't hit.
I really liked the all-in realm warp. That was like, we're coming in hot, baby. The only problem with those is like it's very easy to Leona ult those.
Yes.
So it's good they didn't go for it this time around. But they exchanged the Ash Arrow for Leona ult, which is an even trade. It comes down to Burst on Dragon. I really hope that CLG were just going to force on Closer, because Closer's eyes are on Dragon for smiting it here, and he gets in there with Someday, and he does have the burst damage. That smoke screen blocks them off, so no steal possible for CLG. As he goes flying in at the end there. The Q actually did land, but it cost him all of his life. I guess it is possible to steal, but it costs you so much of your life to go for that afterwards that CLG forced out. And nice smite plus combo there from Closer.
Look at the rack we've been on, Kobe. That is a roller coaster gold grab.
Are you surprised?
No, I'm not at all. Well, maybe in some ways, CLG are offering a lot of resistance hit 100 Thieves, right? I think you look at this matchup on paper and maybe think would be done 10 minutes ago. 100 Thieves absolutely slaughter CLG. And there have been some missteps, but CLG have continued to apply the pressure. We'll see if they can pull the game out, because we're going late. In fact, we are late. It doesn't matter. Now the Baron for 100 Thieves is going to be the story. Broxah, can you counter-steal the big objective here? As CLG aren't getting in easily, but 100 Thieves actually will give it up. Damonte's also splitting.
Huhi got chopped up. So 100 Thieves were trying to draw this teleport out from Damonte, but Huhi just got 80% of his life chopped up right out of the gate by Finn. Viego's on you, and guess what? You can't force the teleport. They're going to take the turret bottom side, and now they're forcing on 100 Thieves. CLG have the possibility to turn themselves here. Wild Turtle, Ash Arrow is up.
TPing now, here's Damonte. Somebody can't join us, the 5v4 for CLG. Arrow hits FBI, but he cleanses it off, and now the Baron is going to be hit. Damonte gets it, but can CLG get out safely? Finn is trying to do what he can, but who is low as Broxah kicks in FBI. That is such a good play, gives away his life to kill that one, and now Finn is trying to pop off. But FBI gets a kill on the other end of it there as the shutdown comes through for Closer. Someday over the top of the ulti trying to make it happen. Smoothie is going to get shredded to pieces. 100 Thieves actually going to get the ball at the end of it. Despite the Baron, they stripped them all. It's a quadra kill for Closer.
100% the comms there is he's baiting them. Oh, maybe we can get like a kill over the wall. And then it's just like, bro, you're trying to bait a late game Gwen. This is 4-item Gwen. You're not going to kill him over the wall. Just flash out of there. Early flash, Turtle, run for the hills. Take those Baron buffs back to base. But CLG, the rest of the members come over to the Baron, Paul. They're like, yeah, maybe we'll get the gun. Guess what? Gwen reigns supreme.
Alrighty.
For Someday. They chase him down.
Alrighty.
Burst damage Graves is on display. Pastry on. I'm here for it.
Looking good. Closer 8-1-2 to close out that game. Our only Bud Light ace was the last one. It was the one that ended the game, as 100 Thieves will close it out against CLG to end our roller coaster ride for today.
I love it. Closer brings out the full armor penetration. Graves, boom, he hits all these dragon smites towards the end, gets the chase over the back of Baron Pitts. That was an exciting one.
It was? I didn't even get the Dragon Soul. I just remembered there was only 6 dragons taken in the game. Couldn't get the 7.
You wanted 4 tickets.
That's true. I guess we got the
Dragon Soul show. You sure you don't want it?
All right, well, man, very back and forth game, to say the least. 100 Thieves, I mean, it's interesting on both sides, right? CLG definitely had windows into that game, or maybe be disappointed that they couldn't find a more aggressive avenue to getting the soul and snowballing. But 100 Thieves let the game get to that point. I don't know how they'll feel about that either. But you know what? We'll answer these questions later, because after the break, we're going to wrap up our day and check in on the standings with the State Farm analyst. But as we go, we're tuning into this cheeky sneak peek at tomorrow's next level, featuring C9's Perks and the Magic Man himself. It is Brian Kibler. Take a look.
I actually had a ritual that when I go to tournaments, I would pick a song for the tournament. And before every round of the tournament, I would listen to that song. And this was back in like the actual Discman days, you know. I had to carry around a CD player and everything, you know, boombox on the shoulder, you know. But
everyone's got to listen to this song and bring out that big binder, start flipping through the CDs, right?
I actually have something similar with the world songs.
Oh, they're
And
great.
I I try to not listen to them unless I have like a big match coming up because I feel like it'll take some of the intensity out of them, right? It's like I don't want to normalize it too much.
League makes a lot of really good music. I actually specifically do my deadlifts to Giants by True Damage. It randomly came on when I was working out one time. So I'm like, this is perfect. So I just listen to that every single time I do deadlift.
That's amazing.
Moving too fast, life moving in slow-mo. I'm a god, but I act if you don't know. I mean, better put your pride aside. I'm a Benz, get more like a Volvo. Your best stuff looks like my words. Synapses, fire, and burst. Got the whole crew with me, about to do damage. You know we ain't average. I ain't gonna say this again, but it's in my time. Better look in my eyes. I'm a genius in the skies with my heart on my sleeve. You force you a block to a king in his prime. Everybody got a line. Sit back with the stars in line. I finesse like my life on the 9 was a diamond in the rough, and now I shine.
No one could stop us, they'll try, but they won't.
Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk here at the LCS. We did it. We're at the end of the day, and it is after 100 Thieves victory, proving that they deserve their #1 spot.
Never doubted them.
Never ever.
No, I
not
don't
one
get CLG.
time.
I never doubted them.
All right.
They're fine way to throw.
Work, Eisen.
I feel like there is one player that we should shout out on 100 Thieves. Emily, I know that you were specifically looking at Huhi, really looking to crack things open with his play.
Yeah, so I just want to make the point that Huhi is a really important part of the way that 100 Thieves set up for plays. I've been really critical of their mid-game macro and will continue to do so. But I think like something like this, where the entire team is behind him, they're set up for this play, obviously. Huhi tells them he's going to be going for this, and they're in a really good position to capitalize on it. These are the kind of plays that I like to see 100 Thieves making in the early to mid game. One thing that I've been like really wanting to see 100 Thieves make, this has nothing to do with Huhi, I want to see them run triple TP. I think it'll work really, really well with the way that they seem to sometimes struggle in the mid game to set up for some of these plays. Like, I want to see them have that extra like insurance so they can all go in and collapse. I'd really like to see that from them because I think it would work
Wink,
with their play
wink.
style.
In terms of the play that you mentioned, I don't know if we can get it back on screen or not, but like it was funny seeing the exact opposite. You're like, yeah, he knows he's got a team behind him, they're ready to go. Where like Braum puts the shield and Lee Sin still flashes away. It's like, Doc, you're already on top of the guy whose literal job is just to make you not die to things. You're like, no, I'm flashing out. He's like, cool, you're flashing out. Demonte just sprinted his ass in there.
Yeah.
Like,
No trust.
what's going on? Like, does no one talk? Like, does Broxton not say, I'm out? Like, this is like done? Like, because we were like, okay, how did Demonte die? Like, we were watching that clip like live. We're like, how did Demonte die? I'm like, well, Romo's not on cooldown. TP's not on cooldown. No, he walked himself into them. So like, no one said what to do. So someone flashed away and someone else killed themselves. And it's like, that's really rough to see. Thankfully, we had a better mid game, right? Like, CLG had some good stuff going, which is cool to see, right? Their bot lane actually had some control. They got the first few dragons stacked up. Like, that's really, really well done. And the arrow picks actually weren't too bad either.
Yes, Freak, I agree. Signs of life. That's all I wanted to see from CLG this game. And you know, I think even just from the draft, you could see they had a really clear idea of how they wanted to play this. You want to make picks on the Syndra and the Varus is the immobile Ks with the Ashe, and get Broxa on Lee Sin so that he can flank, go for the insect plays where you see them. You know, it's unfortunate because I still hate the Braum pick. I understand why they picked it, but I still hated it. It's unfortunate that they didn't get more opportunities where it felt like the team was ready to follow up on some of these engages, because it felt like a lot of the time you'd land a nice arrow and it's like, oh, not everyone's really ready to follow up. Or Finn's ready to follow up, and then he overcommits with the rest of the team's not ready to back him up. So CLG's not out yet. Right? I think if we could get more looks like this, but a little more coordination, I want like a sprinkle of spring split, mid-spring split, with a sprinkle of bongo comp, with a sprinkle of this, and then we maybe have something.
That's a lot of ingredients.
Yeah,
right?
you know, we got some sprinkles everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to salvage like a pretty mediocre base, right? Like, we have some water, so we need to add some chicken stock and some new, like,
It's
you got to
like,
add
it's
it
like
in.
the leftovers in the fridge.
Become a meal.
You know?
Yeah,
But
it hasn't molded.
you can make
Call
a
it a
damn good
pantry meal.
leftover-based meal.
Yeah,
It's not
well,
molding yet,
pantry meal.
right? There's still some time, but yeah, for context on the playoff run, they are 2 full games behind FlyQuest with 4 to play. So, you know, CLG must at least get 2 with FlyQuest losing out, or, you know, extrapolate from there, right? So they have to go also +1 on Golden Guardians, which, you know, they could totally do. They beat them last time, so that's a possibility. But yeah, it is possible, but they are really quickly running out of time.
Time being limited for CLG, but still those signs of life that I think people can be proud of. If we're talking about 100 Thieves, though, in the end, they were able to bring things together when it came to the objective fighting and really showing that solid play.
Yeah, and I think this kind of shows the things that are good and bad about 100 Thieves. The good side is they just have really good individual players who are going to show up in clutch moments. The bad news is they sort of let games get kind of close mid-game with the objective control issues that they tend to have. But Closer really, really popped off this game. You know, I saw the Graves pick. I was a little bit skeptical at first, but we saw him just continuously just pumping out damage on Graves, which is your job, right, in these team fights. And particularly when you're in a scenario where you're facing picks like the Viego and the Ashe arrows and these picks that are going in on you, that's a perfect scenario where if you're a mechanically skilled player like Closer is, to just play reactively.
Yeah, Closer's name, Emily, coming up constantly in conversation when it comes to 100 Thieves and all of the opportunities they have to play through him and his aggression from the jungler position.
Yeah, I mean, he had the setup in here to pop off on the Graves. This is something that we talked about regardless of whether we liked it or not in this comp. He is incredibly comfortable on this pick, right? And so you do see that in a lot of these team fights where he's able to position well to do a bunch of damage. We're gonna see his nice quadra kill coming up here where he, again, gets a lot of setup from his teammates, which is, you know, how this composition is designed to work. I think moving forward for 100 Thieves, like I know I am pretty harsh on them because this is a team that I'm looking at to win the LCS, right? And so you have to look at like, okay, you know, what are they doing well and what could they work on? Like obviously Closer can be a mechanical beast. We know that Abadaga has incredibly strong mechanics. Like this FBI has been talked about as one of the best bot laners. Like we have such mechanically gifted players on this team and it's really about now getting the pieces in their mid game. And I know I keep harping on this, but stuff like wave management and syncing your waves up with your jungler and how he's communicating with them and all this stuff sounds super boring, and I'm sure the audience has already fallen asleep or pieced out, but these are really important things, guys, okay? And
I'm
this
awake.
is what is going to turn 100 Thieves into that top tier team, and this is what I'm looking at. Like, I'm looking at their mid-game macro, and they need to shore it up if they still want to contend for the title.
And Perks talked about, I think, earlier today, talking about how, like, hey, right now they're practicing, like, their fundamentals. Like, League is such a fundamentals-heavy game. It's like, these are things where it's like, look, it's always right to sync waves while you're sieging, right? It's always right to, like, set up Baron a certain way. It's like, if you get these right all the time, you're going to be one of the best teams in whatever league you're playing. Like, as long as your players' hands are good, okay, you can get all these things in a row, and then you find the edges from there. But like right now, in almost any league in the world, by the way, you can probably get 2 worlds or you know, a top spot in playoffs, but it's having really, really good fundamentals on every part of the game. Understanding which lane's supposed to play up, which one's supposed to play back, how you track the enemy jungler, like how you set up for objectives, understanding, okay, we can't take dragons, so we're gonna take top lane out of turret. Right? Like, this is like basic when you're looking at a bird's eye view, and it's tough to get when you're actively playing the game. But every team can get better at these in every league in the world, to be clear. And it's like, cool, get these set to go, because then you do get maximum closer and maximum Abadaga and maximum FBI, and suddenly like, oh, you're a real threat and you're gonna go far.
Yeah, and Perks and the rest of C9, Poser and the rest of 100 Thieves all make it very clear that they are looking for title contention. So working on those fundamentals, extremely important to do. Our race for those postseason prospects do continue to heat up. We mentioned CLG, Golden Guardians, and FlyQuest are finding themselves neck and neck in the standings. Their hunt for that final space in playoffs, a single game differentiating the bottom of the pack.
And meanwhile, also just a very couple of games separating people at the top for the playoff bye as well. 100 Thieves has kept their 1-game lead over TSM. Keep in mind, again, it's top 2, and it's pretty close between those regardless, but you've got C9 1 game behind TSM, EG 1 game behind that, TL. Okay, TL 3 games behind second. That's probably not happening anymore, so TL can kiss their playoff bye. But like, okay, TL fights Dignitas first round. Like, they're gonna win that one. Like, they're gonna be okay. We say that they played recently, and you know, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, wait a second.
They're floating a bit. They're floating a bit now. They're floating a bit now.
Okay.
But you know, in their minds, they're supposed to win that one. We'll see. Maybe Digger happy about today's game. But yeah, like those are kind of the 3. Maybe the 4 of C9 really goes on a tear. Like, there's really good races at the very top and the very bottom. I'm excited for both.
Yeah, and I just want to emphasize how important it is to get these buys, right? Like, this is a long playoff series, or sorry, stretch of series, and the ability to just bypass around and not have to reveal as many strategies, and also scout the strategies other people are playing is really, really key when you think about the prep that goes into these matches. So I'm really watching those top 2 spots because it's super close.
Meanwhile, I'm watching the race at the bottom for that final playoff spot. I think we talked about FlyQuest and what we were looking for from this team, better early game map awareness, and I think we saw them trying to be more proactive early. Obviously, it didn't work out so well for them, but like we did see them making more moves early, and I like to see that from them. I think of these 3 teams, to me, Golden Guardians is the strongest team just because of their understanding of the early game. I know I keep pointing it out, but I've really liked a lot of the triple TP looks they've done. I like how it ties into the fact that they've been working on some of these early turret dives, and they seem to be coordinating those really well. So I'm like tentatively backing Golden Guardians, but we shall see.
Speaking of Golden Guardians, and Nero, when he was on the desk talking about the value of those best of series and getting into playoffs, what it can offer for teams like this. So we'll still be tracking to see who does finally climb into that last playoff spot. But tomorrow, we do have more games, including a certified humdinger, barn burner, whatever you want to call it.
There we go.
It's a banger, because TSM are taking on Cloud9.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, there are some really important battles here, right? Golden Guardians are really like fighting for, again, getting that playoff spot. So the TL victory, like that should be possible for them. Seeing TL stumble, like this should be one you attack for. Immortals are trying to get an uppercut spot away from Dignitas. Like if they can make that run happen, that's exciting. FlyQuest fighting for playoff lives, CLG fighting for playoff lives. And again, yes, you mentioned TSM C9. Like literally every game is really important tomorrow.
Yeah, and literally every time C9 and TSM meet, it's like so fun.
Yeah.
Right? Just
it's
to watch
usually
these
a
two
really
teams.
fun game.
Yeah, and I think particularly given the narratives around these teams, with TSM being a top team, but people are always like, well, they have this one-dimensional style, or sometimes it feels like, you know, they don't feel like a first-place team. And with C9 feeling like, okay, well, we thought this team was going to be good, but it's week 8, and why are they not amazing yet? You know, I think it's going to be a really important match for the psychology of both teams.
Yeah, maybe the way we discussed this matchup would have been a bit different a few weeks ago. But Emily, with the recent wins from C9, a little bit of that ramping up towards the postseason, do you think this is going to be a bit more contentious between these top teams?
Yeah, I think it will be. I mean, I think TSM have they've consistently had like a better mid game. I know it was talked about on the desk yesterday as well. They've typically had just a better understanding of what to do in a lot of those scenarios. But I think, I mean, this C9 team, like, I am also one of those people who's just like, I think they'll be fine. And apparently that's now like a super hot take. But I do think that once this team gets to playoffs, because I know Dash was poking us, like it's week 8. I do think this team will be completely fine. I think, again, they have the players to be able to put this together despite a lot of their struggles this past split. So I'm really looking forward to seeing these two teams tomorrow.
And by fine, you mean title contender.
Yeah, no, I do think they'll be able to contend.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Last gut check.
Yeah.
Title
C9 gonna be
contenders.
fine?
Cool.
I mean, they've looked pretty good in the last couple of games. I think they can certainly play to that top level.
Cool.
All right, well, I'll keep our eyes on that tomorrow. But that is going to do it for us here on the LCS today. On behalf of myself, the casters, and the entire broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you for that action here on the LCS Sunday. Until then, good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night.
Oh, no. Oh, no. He's hit.